Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video to the John Campea Show. What is a companion video? Well, I'm glad that you asked. See, a companion video is when on the John Campea Show, we take live questions near the end, and sometimes we don't have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in, but I want to make sure if you sent in those questions, they get answered in a video, so we gather up those unused questions and we bring them here and we address them on the companion videos. So, we got a few issues to get through here today, so let's jump right into it and get to our first question we got to get caught up on. That comes to us from Q Reviews, who writes, friends of mine say that Avengers 4 does not need a trailer. I've got a friend too, Robert Meyer Burnett, my co-host on The Weekly Hero, believes that. Friends of mine say Avengers 4 does not need a trailer. I say y'all are out of your minds. Everyone does not know what Avengers is. Your thoughts. All right, thanks a lot for the question, dude. And yeah, so this actually came up on The Weekly Hero like 2 months ago, I think. Robert Meyer Burnett and I were talking about it. Robert Meyer Burnett, by the way, how lucky am I that I get to work with Robert Meyer Burnett? I mean, the dude's awesome. And we might be starting up a little something else too, but I'll tell you guys about that another time. So anyway, me and Robert Meyer Burnett were talking on The Weekly Hero, and he brought up, I don't think they need to put out a trailer. I don't think they should do trailers for it. Blah, blah, and I'm like, you are crazy. So, but Robert's not alone. Clearly, Robert's not alone in that. You also, Q Reviews, have friends that so misguidedly think that Avengers doesn't need to have trailers. No trailers needed. And I agree with you. They're all crazy. That's crazy. Now, let's look at it from their point of view for a second, because you can see where they're coming from, though, right? Avengers is massively popular. The MCU is massively popular. A lot of people look forward to these movies. You know, there is an argument to be said that all you need to do is put out a billboard that says Avengers, not even a poster, just a billboard, plain white billboard with black text. Avengers 4 opens May, whatever. I think it's May 2nd, I think. Anyway, there is this mindset, and that's all you need to do. And everybody's going to come running. Everybody's going to come running. The fact of the matter is, that is simply insanity to believe. That is simply insanity to believe. First of all, there's this. This applies to a lot of different areas of film fandom, and we all are a part of it. I'm a part of it. You're a part of it. Like, we all get caught up in this premise. And the premise is this. We believe that whatever I and my circle of people that I know believe is what everybody believes. I like this movie. All my friends like this movie. And therefore that creates this perception in our heads. Well, everybody I know. So that means everybody likes this movie, right? And we see that happen. Not even just in film fandom. It happens in almost every walk of life as well. When everywhere you go in your ecosphere, in your circles, kind of thinks a particular way, it becomes your perception of reality. Well, then that must be what everybody thinks. And so, when you come to a movie like Avengers, if you and your circle of friends are really big into the MCU movies, and you talk about the MCU movies all the time, and you know you don't need a trailer to go see Avengers 4, and you know all your friends and everybody you know doesn't need a trailer to go see Avengers 4, that must mean it creates this false impression in our heads that, well, everybody I know feels that way. That must mean everybody out there feels that way. We're all guilty of that. It's a human thing. You've done it. I've done it. Q Reviews, your buddies are clearly part of that thinking, and so is my buddy Robert. But so we have this mentality that the lens through which I see the world is the world that everybody else sees through their lenses as well. And we know that is simply not the case. So can you put out an Avengers 4 without any trailers and have it still make money? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if you put no trailers out for Avengers 4 and just put out, boom, Avengers 4 opens next weekend. I'm not saying it would flop. I'm not saying it wouldn't make any money. I'm not saying that nobody would go to see it. I'm not suggesting that at all. It's built itself up to the point now that you could do that, and there are still people who would go. Absolutely. A significant amount of people. But if you believe for 1 minute that movie with no marketing is going to make $1 billion, and remember, that's the ballpark when we talk Star Wars and we talk MCU and we talk some other big prime movies, we are talking in the neighborhoods of the billions now, right? We're talking in the neighborhood of the billions now. Not going to make 100 million, not going to make 300 million. We're talking in the neighborhood of billions. The last Avengers movie made over $2 billion. But I am telling you right now, the circles that I live in and the circles that you live in are not the circles that the vast majority of the average film goer lives in. And one of the things that makes Star Wars so successful, one of the things that makes the Avengers films so successful, is the fact that they have appealed to the hardcore fans and to the average. They are big movie events for the average movie-going audience across the world. And that's what makes those movies billion-dollar films, sometimes $2 billion films. But it is those people, the majority of the people who are going to run out to see this movie, the non-hardcore fans, and believe and understand that the vast majority of the people who made up that $2 billion that Infinity War made wasn't the hardcore comic movie fans. It was the hardcore comic movie fans plus the average movie-going audience who are also bought into Avengers. But it is those people that need marketing to sell them on it. It's those people that need marketing to sell them on it. My mom, I always go back to my mom, who's a great representative of the average moviegoer. My mom does not go to 3 movies a month. My mom does not do any of that. But guess what? Once she starts seeing the trailers for Avengers 4, she's going to want to go see it. She knew Ant-Man and the Wasp was coming out, but it was when she saw the trailers, and I'm talking to my mom, she goes, oh, I want to go see that now. Like, of course she knew about Ant-Man. She liked the first Ant-Man, but my mom's is an average film-going part of the audience. She saw the marketing. Okay, yes, now I'm interested in going to see that. That's the representation of the majority of the movie-going audience. So, no, this notion that Avengers doesn't need to do marketing, yeah, if you don't want it to make anywhere near as much money as it could make, sure, fine, go ahead and do it without marketing. But it ain't going to make $1 billion. And it ain't going to certainly make $2 billion. The other thing is this. Do you know how much money Disney spends on marketing those films? Huge amounts of money they spend on marketing these Avengers films. Massive amounts of money. Do you think that Disney and Marvel, the people who make these movies, do you think they're stupid? No, simple question. I mean, sometimes they do dumb things, yes. But do you think in large that these people are stupid? These people who made the MCU, do you think they're dumb and have no idea what they're doing? Do you think for 1 minute, if any of the execs at Disney and Marvel thought for 1 second, oh wait, we don't need to spend $150 million or $200 million marketing this movie? We don't need to spend that money? And we're still going to get the same results? Do you think for a second they would spend $150 to $200 million marketing that movie? Of course not. Then why do they do it? Because they know that the notion that you don't have to put out trailers for Avengers 4 is nonsense. They know that that's nonsense. They know spending $200 million on a marketing campaign for that movie will yield quadruple the results. They know that. They've tested that. They've replicated that formula over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and they know that is the equation. If we put this money into the marketing, we will triple or quadruple our return on that as a result of the marketing. They know this. They work with these every day. They work with these movies and these campaigns and and the marketing and all that kind of stuff and doing the math and seeing the charts and understand. They know. So I remember at first when I first heard the notion of that's a movie that doesn't need marketing. I think it was about a Star Wars movie. And I had the same argument, I remember, with some friends of mine when the Force Awakens was coming out. There were some people who were seriously like, oh, you don't even need to put out a trailer for that. I was like, are you insane? Of course you do. You absolutely need to put out. So at first, though, I remember thinking, well, that's just kind of being facetious, joking around. Well, man, that movie is so popular, you don't even need to put out a trailer. But of course, we all know that's not true. But I've been surprised lately to see just how many people actually do think that's true. There are people who actually believe, oh yeah, you don't have to put out trailers for these movies, blah blah blah. That is simply not true. You absolutely do. And if you want comic book movies to become a more obscure demographic view thing again, sure, then don't put out marketing for it. But if you want it to be and continue to be this worldwide force, then yes, you have to do marketing for it. So anyway, Q Reviews, you and me are on the same page. And what we would say to these friends of yours and to mine is, I say you all are out of your minds. They are absolutely out of their minds, which is why Kevin Feige has said, yes, we're putting out a trailer for Avengers 4 before the end of December. All right. Thanks a lot for the question, Q Reviews. Let's move on here to Andrew Vanderwoerd, who writes, George Lucas seems to have a good relationship with Jon Favreau and obviously Dave Filoni. Do you think Lucas will have any input on The Mandalorian, official or not, possibly even directing an episode or two? No, I don't think he will, because number one, George Lucas isn't a dick. George Lucas isn't going to go and force his way, hey, I'm the Star Wars guy, so here, let me give you my unsolicited opinions. You know, he's not going to do that. He's way too much, he's way too pro. He's not gonna, and he respects Dave Filoni, and he respects Jon Favreau. And so he's not going to go and trample over that. He simply went down to show support, which I think was very classy of him. I think was amazingly classy of him. So there's that. Could we possibly see him direct an episode or two? No, they've already announced their director lineup. So their director lineup has already been set. They've already announced who it is, and he's not one of them. So we're definitely not going to see him direct any of those things. But now I don't think he's going to go and offer unsolicited advice. But could Dave Filoni or, Jon Favreau, who's show running it, sit down and go, George, look, we're thinking about doing this, and what do you think? That could happen, sure. I mean, look, if I was ridiculous, if the universe had gone topsy-turvy and I was directing one of the episodes of The Mandalorian and George Lucas was on set, you bet your ass I'd be crawling on my hands and he's going, Mr. Lucas, can I please beseech you for some advice? Like, you bet your ass I would do that. And I'm sure Filoni and Favreau would do that as well. But remember, the series is already written. Like, before they got on set and started shooting, Jon Favreau's already written it. It's done. That doesn't mean there aren't some direction guide points that they could get from Lucas, sure. But yeah, no, I honestly think he was just down there being really classy, showing some support. I think that's great. And, the fact that Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy, envisioned doing this whole show in the first place, I think it's a great idea. The fact that they brought on the directors that they have, because the directors list is a killer's row. Taika Waititi, are you kidding me? Dave Filoni, which I'm thrilled with, because I've been wanting for Lucasfilm to give Dave Filoni some smaller scale live action stuff to try directing, because we know he can direct animated stuff. I just think there's so much about this idea that is solid. And then George Lucas coming down to kind of just give his support. I think it's a great situation. I really do. But will we see George Lucas's thumbprints on the show? I don't think so. I don't think we will at that point. All right. Marie Siefring writes, rented Mystery Men on streaming. Awesome, Marie. I love Mystery Men. That movie's so far ahead of its time. Thanks for mentioning it on past show. I also just purchased The Office Season 1, starting it tonight. First of all, that's a whole bucket of win right there. That is a whole bucket of win, to use, a phrase from 8 years ago. That is a big bucket of win. Mystery Men, I cannot talk about Mystery Men enough. Casanova Frankenstein, the Disco Boys, Captain Amazing, and then that's all the characters aside from the Mystery Men themselves, with Mr. Furious, the Shoveler, the Blue Raja, the Bowler, the Sphincter. I mean, that movie, when I said, some people use the phrase ahead of its time way too loosely. Mystery Men truly was a movie way ahead of its time. Because you drop if Mystery Men had never come out, and they drop that today, it would be seen as a genius spoof on the genre, a genre that is like dominating the movie industry these days. When it came out, it was a different environment. So it was way ahead of its time, and I cannot watch Mystery Men enough. I cannot watch Mystery Men enough. It's just so good. If you get a chance, watch it. So good on you, Marie. That's a good double purchase. And I'm so envious that you've never seen The Office, and now you get to watch it for the first time. Total envy. Total envy from my part on that. All right. Odile Jones, I should say, writes, why isn't there more buzz about Murder on the Nile? I think you mean Death on the Nile. Kenneth Branagh's skills, plus what's happening, what's shaping up to be another all-star cast with Gal Gadot confirmed is huge. Well, Gal Gadot's not that good of an actress, so that's not all that huge. Here's the problem. The main reason I don't think you're seeing a ton of excitement about Death on the Nile, which is a follow-up to Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express, which had a ridiculous cast. And I love, you guys have seen me talk about Kenneth Branagh. I love Kenneth Branagh. And I was super excited about Murder on the Orient. You guys remember, I was so excited for that movie because first of all, Kenneth Branagh was directing it. It's classic material, and the cast was solid, and I was so excited for it, and I did not like it. It's not very good. Murder on the Orient, look, it's all subjective, but in my opinion, it was not that good. I was let down. I was disappointed. I still remember going to the studio a lot and watching a screening of it and walking out like with my head down, because I was so excited for that movie, and it got very, very mixed reviews, and it was a bit of a letdown. So when you're looking at why are there more people buzzing about it? Well, because they just did one and it wasn't that great. Now, you may have loved it. You may have loved Murder on the Orient Express. That's great. That's what the subjectivity of film's all about. But there was a lot of us who didn't. And a lot of us who were incredibly crazy excited about it that didn't end up liking it. And that has killed. And now, that doesn't mean that Death on the Nile can't be fantastic. That doesn't mean that that can't be fantastic. But we're now in a position where all those people, myself included, who got all excited and who got all hyped for Murder on the Orient Express and then ultimately felt really let down about it, that's going to kill our buzz for getting any excitement building for this new one. Because we just saw one and we didn't like it. Now, I'll give Death on the Nile a chance because it's Kenneth Branagh. Hello. So I'll definitely give it a chance. But I'm going to have a very, very difficult time getting any excitement built up in me for it until I see it, because I was massively let down by the last one. And anyway, I think that's probably the main reason you're not seeing a whole hell of a lot of excitement built up about it right now. The Bessie Nessie writes, John, I just wanted to let you know that you saved me from suicide. Wow, man. And your show means more to me than you'll ever know. Thank you for everything. Well, I've said this a lot, Bessie Nessie. And first of all, if you're in that type of a place, don't just be over it. Talk to people. There are people who are going to be willing to help you. Talk to a professional, stuff like that. Believe me, it'll go a long way. So do that. But one of the things I always say, that I love about the film fan community, and it's not me. My show is just a branch of the film fan community. It's really the film fan community, the community we have here. And I've always said one of the great things about movies and communities where we can talk about movies is that some people call movies an escape, and I understand why you call it an escape, but to me, it's more than an escape. It's an oasis. Regardless, and I know this is true in my life, and you guys have heard me talk about this, regardless of whatever crap I have going on in my life, throughout my life, there's always been time when I can sit down and watch a movie, just step away from the crap for a minute, or get together with a couple buddies and talk about our favorite movies. And it doesn't make the problems go away, but what it does is it gives me a momentary oasis away from the crap. And I have found in my life, and this may or may not be true for you, but I have found in my life, when I'm able to have those moments of oasis, when I'm able to step away into a movie and be teleported to another world, a narrative of a different time, place, people, whatever, or talk to my friends about it and have that oasis, what I find it does for me is it gives me an opportunity to calm my mind, gain some perspective, And at the very least, when I step out of the oasis and back into the real world with my real world problems, I'm able to at least see them from a little bit of a different perspective and a little bit more of a refreshed mind, you know? And movies have always been that for me. That no matter what garbage is going on in my life, I've got the movies. And I got my friends who I can talk about movies with. And I love that, you know, one of the things, you know, streaming and online has done for us is we can now create these online communities where we can just get together and have that oasis. We can get together on the John Campea show or on Screen Junkies News or on whatever else and just have that oasis for a bit. Talk about movies with some virtual online friends and gain from some perspective, and then step back into the real world with our real world crap and maybe be in a little bit better of a mindset to deal with it. So it is certainly not me, it is the fan community, and I love being a part of it, and I'm glad you've been able to be a part of it too, Bessie Nessie. So thanks for sharing that. Yours Trolley writes, AM will come to China, India, and many other countries on 7th and 14th of December. You probably mean Aquaman. Of December, before opening in the U.S. on the 21st. They want to do the same like Jurassic World did. I mean, yeah, so one of the things, I mean, this isn't a science, but one of the things I think we've seen happen before is that sometimes Disney will do this. The biggest market is the North American market. When Disney believes in a film they have, right? What we've seen Disney do is they will release it a week or two earlier in other markets so that everybody in the US can hear about all this hype that everybody around the world loves this movie. And we're like, then why can't we see it yet? And then they bring it and we all rush out to the theater to see it because everybody else around the world's been talking about it, right? It's a marketing technique. But you only do that if you believe in the movie. If you believe audiences are going to eat it up and love it. Otherwise, you're risking putting it out in other countries first and then hearing online and seeing on Twitter from all these people who live overseas, this movie sucks, and that will kill your opening weekend box office. Not kill it, but hurt it. Impede it a little, will, if you will. So to me, and this doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I'm just saying to me, seeing that Warner Brothers appears to be employing that same technique, that they are putting out Aquaman in other markets first. To me, that's a positive sign. To me, that says Warner Brothers believes they've got a crowd pleaser. That's what it says to me. It doesn't necessarily mean that's true. I'm just saying, from a fan's perspective, sitting on the sidelines, looking at this unfold, to me goes, you know what this looks like? It looks like to me that Warner Brothers believes in this film. They believe this is going to get positive buzz when it opens in other markets first, so they're allowing it to be opened elsewhere first and then open in North America to hopefully take advantage of that positive buzz momentum. So I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's a fact. But it looks good on the surface, so let's just wait and see. We are getting closer and closer to December 21st. All right, Craig Carpenter writes, hey, John, I just want to know, can Deadpool die? There are different opinions and theories on that. And remember, the comic book Deadpool and the movie Deadpool are two different things. Comics and movies are two different things. But I know in the comics, like I think even Thanos at one point, there was even some kind of story at some point where like a future version of X-Force, like 1,000 years in the future, comes across Deadpool because he's still there. Like he's essentially immortal. He's basically immortal. And I think even Thanos has made reference to Deadpool's immortality before. So I think for all intents and purposes, he's immortal. But then again, we've seen in comic books other characters who are supposedly immortal. There are ways they can die, and I got to assume there are ways Deadpool could die, I guess, but I think for the most part, he's essentially immortal. We've seen Deadpool over and over and over again try to kill himself. And it doesn't work. I mean, it seems like the only way Deadpool can die, and remember, they did this and explored this in Avengers 2, or in Deadpool 2, is to nullify his mutant gene. If you can nullify and turn off his mutation, well, then he's just mortal, and then he can die. So we saw them kind of explore that in Deadpool 2, but as long as his mutant gene is on, I honestly don't know that there is any way for him to die. I don't think so in the comics, and I'm Not sure that they're saying there's any way he could do it in the movies either. So I don't know. It looks like he's pretty much immortal. All right. John DeBenedict writes, of course they'll drop an Avengers 4 trailer, but I'm not sure I'll watch any trailers for it because it'd be nice to go in completely blind, but we'll see. John, listen, I am completely in the same boat as you. You know, it's funny, on the most recent episode of The Weekly Hero, me and Robert talked about that exact same thing. Look, yes, I don't want to see an Avengers trailer. I want Avengers to open, Avengers 4, I want it to open, and I want to go in without having seen a damn thing. But who am I kidding? I'm going to see on my Twitter, new Avengers trailer. And I'm not going to go, nope, I want to go and clean. I'm going to go click, click, click. I won't be able to get to it fast enough. So it's easy for me to say right now, yep, I don't want to see any trailers. I want to go and clean. I'm in the same place as you, man. That's what my head is saying right now. But I know what's going to happen. Who are we kidding? The moment an Avengers 4 trailer drops, I am going to rush to go watch it. Now, of course, my job being what it is, obviously I have to do that because I have to talk about it. I can't not do that. So I have to watch trailers so I can talk about them on my show. But even if that wasn't the case, who am I kidding? Of course I'm going to watch the trailer. And I'm not saying you don't have any willpower, John, but I think there are many, many, many comic book movie fans and MCU fans out there who are telling themselves the same thing. I'm not even going to watch the trailer. I'm going to go in clean. Yeah, it's all well and good to say that until the trailer drops. And then we go, but the trailer's there. And then sweat starts to pour down our face as we try for 3 seconds to not click on it immediately. But then you're going to click on it. It's like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Everybody says, yeah, I want to go into Avengers 4 clean until you get punched in the mouth with, boom, Avengers 4 trailer is here. Do you want to click? And of course we're going to click it because we're weak. We're weak. At least I am. So yeah, who are we kidding, man? Who are we kidding? David Rainey writes, it was so great to see Leslie Ann Warren in Daredevil Season 3. I love her so much. She played the one who had the piece of art. Right. I don't want to go into any great detail. If I'm thinking of the right person, she was from Victor Victoria, right? If that's the right person. If that is the person I'm thinking of, and it might not be, but I think you're talking about the woman who had the art that Fisk wanted. Yeah, that was a powerful scene. It was one scene, but it was a powerful scene, and it was a really good scene. So hopefully I'm thinking of the right person, though, David. Santez Henderson writes, not seeing a lot of people buzz about the Avatar sequels. Well, I mean, look, first of all, on the one hand, these sequels are coming way too late. These sequels should have been in theaters 3 years ago, let alone just going into production now, you know? So there's that. But also keep this in mind. There really wasn't any buzz about the first Avatar either until they dropped footage at Comic-Con. It was when Avatar did its presentation at Comic-Con that everybody started talking about this Avatar movie. Now, we knew about it. We'd heard about it. We were curious about it. There were even some people excited about it. But there was not this big, massive buzz about it until Comic-Con. And they did their big presentation and showed that footage at Comic-Con. And then everybody lost their damn minds. So we haven't seen a single thing of the new Avatar films yet, right? We haven't seen a single thing. Hold on a second. Sorry, I have an important message coming in. An important phone call, so I just got to send a response to it back here. Where was I? Oh, yes. We haven't seen a single thing. Not a piece of art, not a frame, nothing about it. So I'm not all that worried. As a film fan, I'm not all that worried about the fact that there's no buzz about Avatar right now. There was no buzz about the other one before the Comic-Con thing and the footage shown. Where we're going to be able to start to put our fingers on the pulse of the movie-going audience as it pertains to Avatar and the sequels is once a first trailer comes out. Once a first trailer comes out, that is when we're going to be able to assess where is everybody's excitement level about Avatar. And we won't really be able to know until that happens. For now, we can wonder and guess and speculate, but we're going to have to wait till that first trailer or that first presentation and that first bit of footage comes out. Once that happens, then we'll be able to start taking some measurements as to how excited or not excited we think the film-going audience is. Maybe the trailer comes out or a piece of footage comes out and we just hear, oh, meh. Then we know. Maybe it comes out and people go, oh my God, that looks amazing. And then that'll change the narrative. But at this point, I really wouldn't read anything into the buzz or lack thereof over the Avatar sequels until something comes out. That is when we're going to be able to start guessing where things are going to fall. All right. Cran X writes, will Marvel release a full Blu-ray collection with a lot of commentary and special bits after Avengers 4? Hopefully at a decent price to thanks the fans. Like 20 Blu-ray pack? I don't know. That seems unlikely because here's the thing. Number one, you don't do anything out just to thank the fans. You got to be able to make money on it. You got to be able to. You can't do things to lose money. But here's the thing: you put out a 21. How many Avengers? How many Marvel movies are there now? Like 21 or 22, something like. After Avengers 4, there's either going to be 21 or 22 of them out. No, there's going to be 22 or 23 of them out. So, number one, who's going to buy that? Who's going to buy that? I'll tell you who would buy it. The people who would buy that, and that would cost probably $1,000. I mean, probably $1,000. I'm sorry, not $1,000. That'll probably cost at least at least $200. Minimum $200. Minimum $200. Who's going to buy that? The people who would buy it. Somebody who would drop that kind of money to get some Blu-ray collection, guess what? They're people who probably already own a bunch of those movies. So I can tell you this right now. You guys know I love the MCU. Am I going to drop $200 to buy a 22 Blu-ray collection? No. I already own almost all of them. So I wouldn't. So no, that's a little out there. Like to do a 5 Blu-ray pack or a 6 or a 7, that's fine. But 22, 23... that seems like a lot of money you'd have to spend. And besides all that, the market is moving away from Blu-rays. Everybody's trying to get away from physical discs. Everybody in terms of the companies and the studios and the film industry itself is trying to move away from physical media. We've seen that a lot. They're trying to move away from it. So would they put something like that? I don't know. Now, I'm certainly not saying that there aren't people who would love to have their hands on something like that, because there are collectors who own like 18 different versions of Lord of the Rings. So sure, there are people who would love it and who would probably buy it pretty quickly. I just don't think it would be a large enough number, really speaking. I don't think there'd be a large enough number to make it practical for them to produce something like that, especially considering they're trying to get away from Blu-rays. So anyway, that's just my thought. I could be dead wrong about that, though. I could be absolutely dead wrong. All right. Sam Murphy writes, speaking of titles, your thoughts on the Tom Cruise Live, Die, Repeat. That movie, I think, may have performed a little bit better with a decent title. Well, remember, number one, the name of the movie is not Live, Die, Repeat. I believe the official name of the movie is still Edge of Tomorrow. The name of the movie is Edge of Tomorrow. That is the official name of the movie, Edge of Tomorrow. I don't think the title change would have changed it. It was a bad title. Edge of Tomorrow sounds like some half-baked daytime soap opera title. As we return to the edge of tomorrow, with a little sunset in the background. It sounds like a bad daily soap opera, right? It was a bad title. What would have made Edge of Tomorrow perform better was a much better marketing campaign. The problem with Edge of Tomorrow was not the title, although it was a bad title. The problem with Edge of Tomorrow was that it was a monumentally awful ad campaign. That ad campaign was terrible. Terrible. And it made the movie look like something it completely wasn't, and it didn't make it look very good at all. This is not the end. It's a fun, exciting, high-concept sci-fi action film. Boom! And the marketing did not give any of that. It was terrible. It is like that. Some of the worst marketing campaigns of all time. And I'm sure I'm not thinking of all of them off the top of my head, but I mean, Edge of Tomorrow, John Carter was one of the worst ever. I mean, there are certain films that I believe will go down in infamy as the worst marketing campaigns for films ever, and Edge of Tomorrow is going to be right up there. Now, fortunately for Edge of Tomorrow, the movie was great. And word of mouth started to get out that was great, so it had legs. People started coming to the theater later. But yeah, what botched that movie's opening weekend and what really prevented that movie from reaching the financial success that it deserved to have was an unbelievably, monumentally, world-shatteringly awful marketing campaign. And that's what killed it, not the title. Not the title. At least not in my opinion, at any rate. All right, a couple more here. We got Stubble. Actually, no, this is the last one of the day. Stubble McShave writes, I meant how the Naked Gun ranks versus other trilogies. Okay, I know what you're talking about, Stubble. So Stubble wrote in a chat the other day talking about the Naked Gun trilogy, and he said, how would I rank them? And I talked about what order I put the Naked Gun trilogy in. Apparently, Stubble meant, how would I rank the Naked Gun trilogy against other trilogies? Oh, not very well. Not very well. I mean, I love the Naked Gun trilogy. The third one, to me, is actually kind of weak. But overall, I love the Naked Gun. Those movies were fantastic, other than the third. But, no, it's not in the conversation of the great trilogies. You know, you don't discuss that with the Toy Story trilogy. It's not in the conversation with the Godfather trilogy. It's not in the conversation with Star Wars. It's not in the conversation with Lord of the Rings. It's not in the conversation of what's probably about to be the next one, How to Train Your Dragon. By the way, How to Train Your Dragon, that third one is good. If the third one is good, it's up there in the conversation top 10 all-time greatest trilogies, because the first two How to Train Your Dragons are magnificent. They're talking about doing a third Paddington movie. If it's anywhere near as good as the first two Paddingtons, that's in the top 10 conversation as well. Maybe even top 5 conversation. Naked Gun is not in those conversations. It's not in there. Now, if you want to compare it to like some comedy trilogies like, I don't know, what's a good example? The Hangover trilogy. Yeah, maybe you put it over. Like the first Hangover movie is magnificent. The other two sucked. So, yeah, maybe you compare with that. But that is so far down the list that it's almost not even worth talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. All right, guys, that will do it for this installment of the companion videos. Thank you so much, guys, for, first of all, watching the John Campea Show daily and for sending in all those questions, because they support the show financially, they support the show by giving us great content to talk about. And thank you for watching this installment of the companion videos. There's going to be another companion video coming up here this weekend, and also we're going to do an open mic this weekend. Keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. My name's John Campea. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, bye-bye.